Kain is deified. The clans tell tales of him. Few know the truth. He was mortal once, as were we all. I am Raziel, firstborn of his lieutenants. I stood with Kain and my brethren at the dawn of the Empire. I have served him a millennium. Kain is deified. The clans tell tales of him. Few know the truth. He was mortal once, as were we all. I am Raziel, firstborn of his lieutenants. I have served Kain a millennium. I stood with him and my brothers at the dawn of the Empire. Together, we forged the legions that subjugated Nosgoth. Kain is deified. The clans tell tales of him. Few know the truth. He was mortal once, as were we all. However, his contempt for humanity drove him to create me and my brethren. I am Raziel, firstborn of his lieutenants. I stood with him and my brothers at the dawn of the Empire. I have served Kain a millennium. Over time, we became less human and more divine. Kain would always enter the state of change first and emerge with new powers. The gift continued to evolve. We became less human and more divine. Kain would enter the state of change and emerge with a new gift. Some years after, our evolution would follow. Some years after the Master, our evolution would follow, until I had the honor of surpassing my Lord. For my transgression, I earned a new kind of reward: agony. There was only one possible outcome: my eternal damnation. I, Raziel, was to suffer the fate of traitors and weaklings, to burn forever in the bowels of the lake of the dead. Tumbling, burning with white-hot fire, I plunged into the depths of the abyss. Unspeakable pain, relentless agony. Time ceased to exist. Only this torture and a deepening hatred of the hypocrisy that damned me to this hell. An eternity passed, and my torment receded, bringing me back from the precipice of madness. The descent had destroyed me, and yet I lived. What madness is this? What pitiful form is this that I have come to inhabit? Death would be a release next to this travesty. I would choose integrity and balance over this madness. I would choose oblivion over this existence. I am destroyed! 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 The old hunger has left me. I have no desire for blood. The old hunger has left me. I have no desire for blood. What creatures are these? What scabrous wretches are these? What are these creatures? That's impossible. These foul, scuttling beasts could not be kin of our high blood. I knew my opponent's weaknesses, having suffered them myself. Physical wounds are fleeting. A vampire's immortal flesh begins to close as soon as it is cleaved. Vampires need only fear those wounds that impale or inflame. Water scorches like acid, and fledglings are devastated by sunlight's touch. I would have to modify my tactics to suit my foes. Damn you! How many ages did you bind me in your grasp? My God! The sanctuary of the clans reduced to ruin. Beyond these walls lay the pillars of Nosgoth, the seat of Kain's empire. How humble it now appeared, collapsing into the dust of its former magnificence. And yet, I had only just emerged. In the instant between my execution and resurrection, centuries had apparently passed. The doors of the sanctuary were immovable, either barred from the inside or rusted shut. I would need to find another means of entry. This, at least, had remained constant. The endlessly swirling vortex of the abyss, my tomb, and the womb of my rebirth. Though much of Nosgoth's landscape had changed, these cliffs gave me my bearings. My clan territory was to the west. I was anxious to see how my descendants had fared during the centuries of my absence. Utter desolation. My once proud kin wiped from this world like excrement from a boot. I knew the hand that wrought this deed. I didn't recognize these flayed racks of flesh. Their scent was vampiric, but they gnawed upon their victim's carcass like dogs. This charnel house bore the unmistakable marks of Melchiah's clan. To what depths had our dynasty plummeted if these ghouls were the descendants of my high-born brother? Were they so debased as to recruit fledglings from the desiccated corpses here interred? My brother Melchiah was made last, and therefore received the poorest portion of Kain's gift. Although immortal, his soul could not sustain the flesh, which retained much of its previous human frailty. This weakness, it seemed, was passed on to his offspring. Their fragile skins barely contained the underlying decay. "Show yourself, creature! What has become of my clan? Answer me, little brother, or I will beat an answer from your horrid lips. Enough riddles. What are you saying? Tell me, Melchiah, where can I find Kain? Am I reduced to this? A ghoul, a fratricide? I am your creation, Kain, now as before. You criticize your own work. What have you done with my clan, degenerate? You have no right. Damn you, Kain! You are not God! This act of genocide is unconscionable! I would choose integrity, Kain. The Soul Reaver, Kain's ancient blade, older than any of us and 1,000 times more deadly. The legends claimed that the blade was possessed and thrived by devouring the souls of its victims. For all our bravado, we knew what it meant when Kain drew the Soul Reaver in anger. It meant you were dead. I swore I saw a glint of satisfaction in Kain's eye when the Soul Reaver was destroyed. I did not understand the game that Kain was playing, but I knew the finishing move. I swore I saw a glint of satisfaction in Kain's eye when the Soul Reaver was destroyed. I did not understand the game that Kain was playing, but I knew the finishing move. Spirit! I did not mean to disturb your rest. I did not intend to disturb your rest. How have you come to haunt these pillars? That bastard can claim no allegiance from me. Once a testament to mankind's defiance of Kain's empire, this towering cathedral now stood derelict, the humans who worshipped here, dead for centuries. Its architects conceived this tower as a holy weapon against the vampire menace, a colossal instrument of brass and stone. The cathedral's pipes, once tuned to blast a deadly hymn, now stood silent, and these vacant spaces whistled their impotence. Zephon, your visage becomes you. It's an appropriate reflection of your soul. Perhaps things have not changed as much as you'd like to believe. You were always weak, Zephon, and once again, you will bend to my will. A crevice in which to cower, only scuttling from the shadows to devour a victim already ensnared in your cowardly trap. But you've made the mistake of leaving me unbound, and it is you who must succumb to my will. The ancient tomb of the Seraphim, once impenetrably sealed, now ravaged by Nosgoth's upheavals, its mysteries lay exposed. In the time of Vorador, centuries before Kain was made, The Seraphim warrior priests waged a merciless war against the vampire tribes of Nosgoth. Emboldened by righteousness, they committed unspeakable and indiscriminate acts of violence, massacring fledglings and ancients alike. They decimated entire bloodlines in mere decades. Now their husks lay here, murderers enshrined. As I pulled the stone free, a sigh of sepulchral air escaped the inner chamber. I was not prepared for what lay beyond this threshold. These crypts, defiled caskets of Seraphim saints, bearing my brothers' names and my own. These crypts, defiled caskets of Seraphim saints, bearing my brothers' names and my own. The irony of Kain's blasphemous act rushed in on me with the crushing force of revelation. Were my hands not as bloody as these? Worse, I had spilled the blood of my brothers, these very comrades whose tombs lay ravaged before me. Such loyalty to one who has you guarding this outpost like a chained dog. Do you prosper on the scraps he casts you? Kain killed me once. Behold the result. I have no more to fear from you. Rahab, you have adapted well to your environment, for one so maladjusted. You speak with Kain? You speak with the murderer? What more did he tell you? I will indeed. But tell me, before I tear your soul from its moorings, do you know what we were before Kain spawned us? Do you know what we were before Kain spawned us? Seraphim, Rahab. Seraphim. Seraphim, Rahab. The antithesis of all we ever believed. Saved us? From what? This city once teemed with the life of my kind. Could it be that other clans had suffered the same fate as mine? In his madness, could Kain spare none of his brood? My brother Dumas, a powerful warrior in life, he would have burned with shame to have me find him here like a stuck pig. Not to save it, but to take it. Your only salvation is release. Your thanks are premature, Dumas. Your thanks are premature, Dumas. I have not forgotten whose hands bore me into the abyss. Even the strongest vampire is vulnerable. My bloodthirst has been superseded by an even darker hunger. I will consume your soul before this day is done. The human citadel, its towering walls and deep moats engineered to keep Nosgoth's vampire plague at bay. Though the city was well fortified against vampires, its human architects hadn't considered a breach by a creature such as myself. I watched unseen as shadowy figures slipped down the temple walls. The city slumbered, oblivious to the danger creeping just outside. Mysterious figures moved under cover of darkness, their robes betraying occult intent. This temple seemed to be a source of contagion. I would find a way to infiltrate this vampire lair. My faith in destiny is all I need to prevail. I was executed, not excommunicated. You will learn the difference. Your faith has failed you. Where are your precious vampires now? Where is your holy Kain? And now you will meet them. The Oracle's Cave, where Kain's first fateful meeting with Mobius occurred. Mobius played the role of a doddering soothsayer, stirring his pot of visions while dispensing enigmatic predictions to gullible visitors. Underneath the facade was Mobius the Time Streamer, sorcerer of the Circle of Nine, a ruthless manipulator with the power to bend time. Since his murder at Kain's hand centuries ago, these caves have stood vacant, though, like Mobius himself, they are rumored to be only a facade for a much larger, more elaborate complex. I sensed that Kain was here, and at that moment, I would have plumbed the depths of hell to find him. This, I deduced, must be the man himself, the time streamer, Mobius. He seemed not at all the impressive figure I had imagined from Kain's boasted exploits. And yet, even this cold image radiated a certain undeniable power. My arrival in this miserable age. What trickery is this? These apparitions torment me. Has this all been foretold? Impossible! This must be one of Kain's deceptions. My mind reels with conflict. Does Kain await me moments from now, or in some century yet to come? This cannot be. What madness does this scene portend? Kain must think me credulous to suffer these lies. Is this phantasm a conjuration of my mind, or an echo of future events? Though the room seemed vacant, these banners clearly identified it as Turel's audience chamber. Let me pass, Turel. I have enough blood on my hands today. My quarrel lies with Kain. Gratitude toward one who would have you grovel at his gate like a dog? You once had noble aspirations, Turel. Now, how humbled are your goals. Do you prosper on the scraps he casts you? You killed me once. Behold the result. I have no more to fear from you. I smell water. Tell me, have you, like Rahab, learned to swim in all these eons? Did it trouble you when you ordered me into the abyss? Lies! You cannot have foreseen all of this. Very poetic, Kain. But in the end, you offer no more than a convenient rationalization for your crimes. I have been to the tomb of Seraphim, Kain. How could you transform a Seraphin warrior into a vampire? I have been to the tomb of Seraphim, Kain. Your dirty secret is exposed. How could you transform a Seraphim priest into a vampire? The Seraphim were saviors, defending Nosgoth from the likes of us. I will not applaud your clever blasphemy. The Seraphim were saviors, defending Nosgoth from the corruption that we represent. My eyes are opened, Kain. I find no nobility in the unlife you rudely forced on my unwilling corpse. You are lost in the maze of your moral relativism, Kain. What game are you playing, Kain? This place, these portents. What game are you playing now? You are lost in a maze of moral relativism, Kain. These apparitions and portents. What game are you playing now? My father? You're nothing but a grave robber, Kain. I thought I understood you, Kain. That your jealous hatred was the root of the wounds you inflicted. But this genocide of your own kind is unconscionable. Such a dire fate, their souls commingling, fettered eternally, just as Kain's refusal at the pillars had bound them together centuries before. Such a dire fate, their souls commingling, fettered eternally, just as Kain's refusal had bound them together centuries before. As they swarmed after me, I felt the terror that must have filled their wizened hearts. They knew what I had to do here, that it would spell their downfall, and that I too might perish in the very act. This tower had stood too long as a grotesque symbol of Kain's perverse intent. The time was ripe, indeed past due, for me to exploit my newborn talents and send a hymn of death across this land. Enough to banish sanity. Enough to set the children of the night plucking at their eyes, tearing open their own throats. Enough to destroy every vampiric creature on the face of this bruised and bleeding land. My goal was within reach. All that remained was to open each and every sounding pipe. These pillars, do they have any function in a time such as ours? More of your lies.
Damn one!